We'll do the usual embargo, guys, for 10:30 this evening and take questions in Spanish just before that embargo. Thank you. Who's starting?
Good afternoon, Pep. You know about winning titles in many countries. How many teams do you think at this stage could win the Premier League title?
A lot. You know, like me, which teams can win the Premier League.
Is there less or more pressure being in a league where maybe half a dozen, 8 teams could win the Premier League, as opposed to a league like Spain or like Germany where maybe 2 or 3 could win the league?
Yeah, there are more, but we knew that from the beginning. Before I arrived here, I knew that. So many teams can win the Premier League.
So far, Pep, there's been many teams involved in this title race. Do you see it being like this the whole season, or do you think we'll get to a point in the new year maybe where we will see exactly who the contenders are?
I think it's going to decide the last 8-10 games. The people who arrive in there with chance to win the Premier is going to. We're going to see, but there are many contenders, and I think the leagues, in that case the Premier Leagues, always happen in the last 8-10 games.
Andy.
Important is to be there in that time, is to be there.
Hi Pep. Sergio Aguero seemed to take a knock late in the game the other night. How is he, and how's Pablo Zabaleta?
Sergio finished not injured, but a little bit problem in his foot. And today you have training at 4 o'clock. We will know exactly how his condition and condition the other players, because we played the last game not far away, and we have tomorrow game at 12:30. So tomorrow I'm going to evaluate to see how is their conditions. The Pablo Zabaleta as well.
Pep, do the players now understand the way that you want to play? It's a big difference from the way that they've been used to before. Do you think they're now understanding the way that you want to play?
We are where we want to be. So in 85 as the Champions League, what after the draw and after our last game in Barcelona was a tough moment to qualify. So we did it one game before. So that's why we are so happy. And the people believe it's easy, but you cannot imagine today the Champions League is tougher than before, the last years ago. Like I started in Barcelona in my first years, we're qualified for the next round. Looks like a little bit easier than now. In the future, that's going to happen. The big teams, they are not going to qualify for 80 finals. It happened that year, and it's going to happen in the future. That's why it's a big success, especially for a club like this, 4 times in a row, qualify for 80 finals. I'm so proud about this club, what he did. Not all the clubs in the world can do that. Not important clubs in Europe can do that. That's why it's a big success. Like Manuel Pellegrini helped us to achieve that 3 times in a row. So the club has to be good. But when we won in the beginning of the season a lot of games, I said many times we have to improve. In that moment we have to improve too. So we have a lot of games in our legs, in our heads. So sometimes you are up and downs. But in all the games we compete quite well. And of course we have many things to improve. I would like to have a long week to improve many things. We don't have time. I would like, for example, today to training many things I have in my head, but I cannot do that because we play the day before, and yesterday the travel, and yesterday before the game. But I am optimistic, but now better than ever about my team and about what we can do in that season. But we know exactly, because we spoke about that, we can improve, and we will do that to achieve our targets.
Pep, to keep improving, you will need players. Vincent Kompany is injured again. Will you think about strengthening then in January in that area with the persistent problems of Vincent? Or maybe, do you have the answer with Yaya Toure back in the squad? He's played in defence for you at Barcelona.
Yeah, can play in many positions, but I think we have another options to play there in central defender. I think my mind now, what happened in Barcelona happened once in the final of the Champions League against Manchester United, because we had a lot of problems there. We didn't have players, and he played amazing. But now I have in my mind when Yaya is going to play more in offensive terms, in players who decide for the last pass, for score goals, for our build-up in the last third part of the pitch. So in that moment, but maybe can do that, but maybe it's going to happen. But they have another options. Fernandinho can play there, Sagna can play there. So we cannot forget in Crystal Palace after 1 month or 1 month and a half injured, Bakary played the first game and played central defender many minutes and played awesome. So we have another options to solve that problem.
John?
You made quite a few changes during the game against Mönchengladbach. Is that a reaction to what they were doing, or were you unhappy with your defenders?
No. Normally when we have problems with our defenders, because our build-up is not properly good. I believe when we defend not good is because we don't attack good. Sometimes there are actions 1 against 1 when there's a duels. Of course, that is an action. Huh? But when our build-up will be better, we're going to defend much better.
Just down here, please. Jess. Thank you.
Pep, you talked about Vincent's injury on, was it Tuesday? Has anything happened since then? You said he's going to Barcelona, a hospital in Barcelona. Has anything happened since then?
No, they confirmed, Dr. Cugat confirmed what the Dr. Max and the guys here said. So it's the same as a ligament. It will be into 4-6 weeks out.
Sam?
Hi, Pep.
Hi.
It was said that during the summer you wanted to strengthen the club in terms of the fullbacks at your disposal. Got into the season without any fullbacks. Why was that decision made, and are you happy with the situation at the moment?
About?
The fullbacks,
Yeah.
the wide defenders.
I'm so happy about all my players. So normally the fullbacks always play out, and sometimes I try to play inside, and it's new for them, it's new for all of us, and sometimes they need a little more time. Some of them they have the specific quality to do that. Some of them is more difficult, but all of them, Gael and Cola and Pablo Maceo and Bakary, all of them, I'm satisfied about their performance.
But in the summer, it was said that was
Next
a specific.
summer?
No, last summer.
Yeah.
It was said in Marty Pirano's book that was one of the areas you actually wanted to strengthen,
No.
to bring players in.
No. No, we had 4 with contracts, so we spoke with Chiki, so we had different areas to buy new players. We cannot spend whatever we want because we have a budget to spend, and I'm satisfied all of them.
James?
Hi, Pep. I think Burnley have surprised a lot of people this season. What sort of a test are you expecting from them? Because at home they seem to be very strong this year.
Yeah, yesterday I saw the games. I'm really impressed. I think it will be the toughest for our generation, for 12:30, for it's a derby, for many things. We cannot forget they beat Liverpool. They lost in 93rd minutes against Arsenal. In the extra time, they beat them, and they draw in Old Trafford. So what they do really well. I'm really impressed about their quality, their faith. Of course, they lost 4-0 the last game in West Brom. I can imagine what happened when one team loses 4-0. Her attention and focus is higher than before. I prefer receive the teams when they win a lot of games. They didn't win. In that moment, they are ready and prepared. So you have to, in terms of intensity, I think they will be better because their legs are faster and cleaner than ours. But it's so important for us because after that we have 1 week to prepare the next round of games, Chelsea and Leicester, Watford. Of course, we have Celtic the Glasgow here, but I have already qualified, so we have to make a good training session, I practice a lot of things with the players, maybe players don't play the last games enough. And now we have the round our players against Chelsea, Leicester, Watford, and Arsenal. So that's why that game is key for us. It's so important in terms of the points and in terms of getting better our game in these kind of games. Until now, we play good in Stoke City, in West Brom. We didn't play not good in Crystal Palace, but we won. And we have to try to insist in the way we play, even in games away, in small pitches, in typical English football. So, and how you can adapt as soon as possible our way in these kind of games.
Okay, we'll take some questions in Spanish, please. Thank you.
Hola, Pep. Hagués per tirar Steven Gerrard. Creo que veu coincidir com a mínim una vegada jugant. Quina opinió en tens i si creus que la seva història o jugadors d'aquest tipus ara costen de repetir a futbol d'ara?
És un dels més grans que he vist. Felicitar-lo per la seva carrera. Va ser una joia veure'l jugar. Sempre he pensat que tenien a la seva època una generació de jugadors anglesos impressionants, amb Scholes, amb Carrick, amb Lampard, amb Ferdinand, amb Terry, amb quantitat. Era una generació, crec, única per fer una cosa important a nivell internacional. Ha sigut un dels jugadors més grans que ha donat el futbol anglès, per suposat, i europeu.
I would like to ask you about Steven Gerrard. What do you think of him, and do you think nowadays it's more difficult to have example of careers like Gerrard had? He's definitely one of the best I saw. Congratulations for his career. It's a jewel, saw him playing. I think England had a great generation of players with him, Carrick, Paul Scholes, John Terry. It was a unique generation to do something great in international football. So he's definitely one of the best English players that's ever played.
Hola Pep, aquí Antonio Fuentes para Deportes 4. Sabemos que es una posibilidad complicada, pero le quería preguntar si el mercado le ofrece la posibilidad de fichar a Messi, ¿lo ficharía?
Ya he vuelto a decir más de una vez, Messi se va a quedar en el Barcelona y va a jugar su carrera ahí, que es lo que yo deseo profundamente, que haga su carrera en Barcelona y que la acabe como ha hecho desde el principio hasta el final.
The question is about Leo Messi. If you had the chance and the conditions in the market were favorable, would you sign him? Would you sign Leo Messi? I told it more than once, Messi will stay in Barcelona and he will finish his career in Barcelona. It's my wish, and I wish he finish from the beginning to